So today on the channel, what we're going to do is a blind comparison, and we're not talking about sampling cheese or wine or anything like that. We're doing hunting blinds. If you guys have watched any of my videos, you know that I do use blinds quite a bit. The two that we were using this year, we really put through the ringer and tested them to their limits. So I was in a big box store one day and saw a blind on sale for half off, and I thought, you know, if I can get a few of these and try them all, I can share my thoughts and ideas with you guys on what I think about these blinds, because we use them a lot, we hunt a lot, and we really put them to the test during deer and turkey season. So that's what we're going to do today. I have two that I've been using for a while, and then I have 4 new ones that I bought all on sale after deer season for half off. So these are all economical blinds. These aren't blinds that you're going to have to go out and pay $600, $700, $800 or more for. All of these blinds on sale were under 200 bucks, and some of them were under 50 bucks. So we're going to look at all of them, but if you're the type of guy that's got to have a $800, $1,500 blind, you're probably not going to care much about this. But to 95% of you guys out there and gals, if you're like me, you don't want to spend that much on a hunting blind, especially if you use it as much as I do. They don't last 15 years. You might get 3 to 5 good hunting seasons out of it before it's time to replace it. And when I say we use them a lot, we use them nearly every day during hunting season. So we put a lot more hours on them than most people do. And what I'm looking for out of these blinds is to try to give you an idea of which one is the best for the situation you're going to be hunting in. You might want a big one for certain things if you're taking a buddy with you or your spouse. You might want a smaller one because you've got to hike a really long ways. Some of these are not good for packing in. In fact, one of these blinds that I've been using this year, I typically tote it where I want to put it with the 4-wheeler because it is just too big and too heavy to tote. But others are small and compact and excellent for packing in a long distance and really more sort of a mobile type hunting blind. But we're going to look at all of them, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think. You may not agree with some of it, but if you would, comment down below and just give me your input. Was this video helpful? Which blinds do you like? The ones I've picked here are sort of random. They are all within that $200 and under price range. Some of them. So these are all the blinds we're looking at today. Again, this Ameristep multi-season pack-in blind I have been using. The Rhino hub blind I've been using. All of these are brand new blinds that I got after deer season on sale for about half off. And we've got the Rhino 50. We've got the Ameristep Silent Brick House, the Rhino 180, and the Buck Bourbon Rack House 300 Plus. So we're going to set them all up and tell you guys what we think. So this is the Ameristep multi-season pack-in blind. And like I said, I've been using this blind. I really like it. It's light. I can tote my rifle, camera equipment, shooting stick, whatever I need. I've got both hands free, and it really is sort of go anywhere kind of blind. So as you can see, it's pretty light. Comes on and off easy. It's not very heavy at all. This is a great blind for packing in. As far as portability goes, this one's hard to beat. So I thought I'd do something funny and see if Rodney could put these blinds up by himself, since he's never put them up. So this is the Ameristep multi-season pack-in blind that you guys have seen me use. And we're just out here in the middle. And what you're seeing right here is one of the issues I have with this blind. These flat rods, they like to sort of pinch and give, just like that one did on the back there. So what you have to do is really sort of tug on this thing and try and twist and bend it and get it in the right spot before it wants to stand up by itself. And you can see, yeah, if it's been in the bag for a while, it's going to be an issue getting it to stand up. This is probably my biggest pet peeve on this thing here. Yeah, you can see it's twisted. So right here it's flat like it's supposed to be, and here it isn't. So you really got to try and work on that to get it flat here where it transitions around this curve. And it can be a nightmare to do. If you're in a wooded situation like this, probably the best thing to do would be to come around here with these tie loops and just tie it off. You really want this you really want to blind in a thick spot anyway. But as you can see, this thing likes to sag. If it's been in the bag for a while, it is particularly an issue. This is again probably my biggest issue with this blind. So we'll get on the inside of it here and I'll show you guys. I like to use a dove stool with this blind because I have a little more maneuverability. And actually, if you had 2 dove stools in here, you could just about put 2 people in here. If you want to carry your kid hunting, that would be pretty easy to do. Or you could put 1 big camp chair in here and it would be fine. But I like the dove stool because I can spin around on it. The other important thing to me here is that I can stand up in this blind. I am standing completely straight up. I can move around in here and kind of stretch my legs if I'm sitting for a long time, and I don't have to worry about being seen or stepping out of the blind for anything. Another issue I have with this blind is that it does not come with this screen. But this screen is really important, and I do cut slots in it for a little better visibility, but I'm going to zip the side of it up and show you guys why this screen is so important. And this is just a screen that I bought at the local big box store to add to it, and I safety pinned it all the way around. If this blind came with this screen, it would score a lot higher in my book. But it does have openings up here on one side. So if you want to shoot out up, then you can face this side whichever direction you want to shoot to and unzip it. I'm going to zip it down. I'm going to hand Rodney the camera and let him go around front of it. I'm going to zip these sides up. As you can probably tell, it's very difficult to see into this blind with this screen up. This blind should come with a screen. It does not. I had to add this to it. You can see that the screen makes a big difference in hiding you. You can still see out. I do have slots cut here to shoot out of, but if I take the screen away, then it's very easy to see inside of this blind. So the screen's really important, and again, you would brush this all in. Which brings me to my next issue with this blind. So this blind doesn't have very many loops in it to brush it in. You can see where I had some stuff jammed in here back during deer season, and it's okay. There just aren't enough of them. Really, I'd like to see loops all the way across this blind, and I'm going to get Tiff to sew some elastic strapping across here, something similar to this, and stitch it about every inch so that I can shove stuff in here and really brush this blind in the way I want. These loops here on the corners really aren't enough to brush this thing in properly. I wouldn't give it a perfect 10, but it's a really good blind and I really like it. Really, probably the only other complaint I have with it is it's kind of hard to pack up. As you can see, when I walked in with it, it's sticking partially out of the bag. I don't worry too much about it. I fold it the best I can and get it in there, but you almost find yourself standing in the woods watching YouTube videos on how to fold this thing up. It's not as easy. If you get it right, you'll be the hero of the channel. Get the phone out. Go to YouTube. There you go. Like that, somehow. Well, maybe not quite as close. Now, that other blind that I had, sometimes you had to kind of get it in the bag before it really wanted to do what it was supposed to. But that's close enough right there, I can tote it. I have done it properly now.
But that was probably...
So this is a Rhino 50 pack blind. This is another really small blind that's good for its portability. You can adjust the straps, get it where you want it. You can tote this blind all day long. It's a little smaller than the Ameristep blind, and therefore shorter. So you can't stand up in it, but it's very portable, easy to hide, and it's very light. You've got your hands free to tote whatever else you need, gun, camera equipment. Folds right up in this bag, and you just don't really get much more portable than that. All right, so this is the Rhino 150 blind. We're going to see if Rodney can put this one up. It's sort of the same principle, but it's not as tall, so maybe there'll be maybe he'll have a little more success on this one. All right, so the premise is you're supposed to be able to kind of just flop it out there and it'll stand up. This blind actually isn't even square. Well, it's close, I guess. Yeah, you got it.
Got too close to the tree.
Not too bad. And there's your entry door right there. You want to put the stool in there and see how you like it?
Nice door.
Yeah. And it's a more economical blind. Again, it doesn't really have any loops for brushing it in. It doesn't have window screens on it. I think full price for this blind is about 50 bucks. It is really easy to tote. It'll get you out of the wind and out of the rain. But as you can see, it's pretty tight.
Yeah, there is no standing up. I got about maybe 6 inches sitting down, maybe 8 inches from top of my head, and I'm only 5'8".
Oh yeah, you don't have much elbow room in this thing. It really doesn't have a huge footprint. The footprint on this blind And it does look like it's a little longer than wide to me for some reason. Maybe it's just the way it's set up, but yeah, I think it is because of the way the flat rods are in it.
It's definitely dark in here. Got a couple screens, and it wouldn't be bad for, especially if you got a small area you're trying to get into.
It'd be a little difficult with a high-powered rifle. What you would want to do is put your chair and your back all the way to the door.
Shooting out the sides would be hard. Straightforward wouldn't be as bad, but shooting out of the sides would probably be a little more difficult unless you rearrange, like repositioned every time. I don't know where you can see, but very shallow. But you also have 3 zip out windows, no screens. There is kind of a tighter area.
To be honest with you, I can see where if you were in an emergency situation, this thing, you know, would at least give you some shelter from rain and snow and maybe some wind, especially if you use the outriggers on it. And you had a couple other things in there to help kind of keep you warm. You could definitely use it for some weather protection. And you can hunt out of it. It's just really tight. It's definitely a one-man blind.
And you see in comparison to where I was, there's definitely not very much room.
Yeah, it's not even a one.
Down, you got about that much space in it.
Yeah, it's not even a one-man blind. It's a 3/4 man blind. But I mean, for 50 bucks, you can hunt out of it. It does need to be brushed in. It's kind of shiny. We kind of got out of the shade here, so we're in some light, and you can see it wants to glow a little bit.
I will say that on the inside, it is the material on the inside is pretty thick feeling, like a good coating. It very dark in there when everything was zipped up. So I think with some good screens, it'll hide you pretty well.
Yeah, it'd just be hard to sit in for all day or even a few hours because you cannot stand up and stretch your legs in it. And that's one thing, one of the big things I like about that Ameristep multi-season pack-in blind. With just a few tweaks, that blind would be awesome, perfect 10. But this one's okay. I mean, for 50 bucks, this is what you get. It sort of no frills, but you can definitely shoot out of it. I don't know about shooting a bow out of it. It'd be pretty tight, but as far as a crossbow or firearm,
I think
you'd be good out of it. That would be, you know, perfect if you had a long way to walk. I could not sit in it for hours on end though, because I have to stand up on occasion and stretch. All right, let's see if Rodney can pack it up.
Looks like there's straight from 4 corners and then one plane on each end.
I'm letting Rodney do this because he's never done it. So I just want to see how easy it is for somebody who hasn't really used the blind much. Watch a YouTube video?
No, I mean, this one, because it's not out of shape, might have to be a YouTube video involved. I'm trying to do it just like we've seen the other one.
I think you're onto it right there, Rodney. There you go.
That is it.
But see, the other one is more of a triangle shape.
Yeah.
That's why it's harder to deal with. We got the bottom folded right. We just couldn't get the top. So this blind I'm wearing now is your typical Rhino hub blind. As you can see, you can pack it in. but it is really big, it's really heavy, and this thing is hard to hide. Now, if you've got a couple guys hunting and maybe even one filming, you can do it with this. There's room for everybody. It's not the best blind to film out of. It's really set up more for bow, but this is probably the heaviest one. Normally, when I take this to set it up, I don't try to pack it in. You can get about a half mile to a mile on this thing and you really start to feel the weight of it. It's more like a folding shade tent type weight than it is a packable blind type weight. You could probably hike all day with some of these smaller blinds. This guy right here, you're probably going to start to feel the weight of it after a half mile to a mile if your terrain is very difficult to move through. So portability on this one is not as good. It does offer a lot more room, but it is heavy.
Come right up.
No, there you go. Lay it down flat.
Working on it. This is similar to my tent. In my tent, you just grab the legs and pull out, and it pops right in place.
You want me to show you how to do it? So one reason why I was letting you struggle with it is so, you know, people who've never put one together can see. But basically, you're going to just start grabbing these things and pulling them out like that.
See, I tried that. I don't want to break it. It ain't mine.
I told you to pull it out. So I think
to do that,
this
I
is.
didn't want to break it because it ain't mine. So.
Yeah, it's popped out. Like it's flipped backwards.
I'm not sure. I didn't do that. That's why I'm having trouble.
Push that in. Yeah. So if you pull all the sides out, it'll stand up.
I need to fold something back down? Or?
Nah, I don't think so.
Still hung right there.
It's a hub blind, man. It does stuff like that. It's a good idea, but it's poor execution on a good idea.
I don't know how it twisted on itself.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's hub blind for you. But you see, if it gets kinked, that's it. But that's what it does. It twists. As you guys can see, I hate these things, and now you can see why. We had this blind's been used exactly one time, and it was actually even blown in a ditch a couple 100 yards away from where I had it set up, and it just folded up nicely. I picked it up, folded it right back up, put it in the bag, no problems. I can deploy this by myself, but you see what kind of issues you run into. We had a hub that actually flipped over and we couldn't pull it out. So one of the legs actually popped out and hit me in the ear. So it is under a lot of tension, and it does create a lot of room. If you want to bow hunt here, it sticks way out. These are shoot through mesh windows. If you want to carry 2 or 3 people with you, this thing's plenty big enough to do that. So one of my biggest pet peeves about this thing, besides the weight, is huge. Yeah, it gives you a lot of room on the inside. That seems great, but this thing's really hard to hide. It does have quite a few of these places where you can shove stuff in to brush it in. It really needs some along here as well, but it really does have a lot of them. And we were able to brush it in really well. It was sitting out in a big wide open area, and there was some weeds and stuff around it, but this thing towers over those. And we broke a bunch of weeds off and brushed it in. When we had deer walk within 30 or 40 yards of this thing, and they paid it absolutely no mind all deer season long. The bad thing about it is really big, and it is hard to brush in. The stakes they give you with it are really too short. So if you're going to anchor this thing down, You really need some like 3/8 rebar cut about 18 inches long and maybe welding up to the end and really hammer it down in the ground. In this situation, we would have trees to sort of help anchor to with outriggers, but out somewhere in a field that's got a big weed patch in it, like where we had my dad's last year. My dad has the exact same model. I bought both of them at the same time. You have no way to anchor this thing down, so we actually had to drive T-post in the ground to anchor this blind to, because the slightest little breeze will pick this thing up and it flies like a kite. The stakes they give you with it are garbage. They're just in no way big enough to stake this thing down. I wouldn't even use them to stake it down in these woods. I would still use T-post or rebar or something like that. One of the other major gripes I have with it is this door. And I'm going to switch to GoPro mode here. So you can see this door is a really weird shape. And it, believe it or not, is very difficult to get in and out of this thing, especially if you're toting anything. You really kind of have to throw all your stuff in and get in. The other issue are these clips that close this door. When it's below about 30 degrees outside, these things are going to want to break. They're plastic and they do flex. It does have one clip here to hold it in the corner, but even when you get in and clip this door all the way up, it never completely seals shut. So you get light through it, you get a little bit of wind through it. It kind of does the job, but again, these clips right here, so many times I've clipped these on and I thought for sure I was going to break them. They're in cold weather, which we didn't have a whole lot of this year, but we did have some days in the 20s, and man, I knew I was about a degree Fahrenheit from just shattering these things when I clip them on. This thing really needs a zipper on it, and this door really needs to open that way and come all the way back. Another opening here down, or like some kind of zipper or something. It really needs zippers on it. Another zipper here down would open this thing right up where it would make it easy to get in and out of. The issue is the way this thing's shaped at the bottom, almost inevitably, especially if you're bundled up, you're going to trip over it. So it's not especially easy to get in and out of, even though it's big enough to park your truck in. I really hate having to put it up. Again, I can put it up by myself, but if you get a hub, sometimes when you fold it up, if you're not super careful, you'll have a hub that flips on you, and when that hub flips and you go to try to put it back up, as you can see from some of the video that I'm going to show of me and Rodney trying to put it up, it is really hard to fix it, especially if you're by yourself. It took me and Rodney a while to fix it. I'm not going to show all the video from that because I'm sure I'm going to have to edit out a lot of the language. The reason I'm showing you mine instead of Dad's is because even with the T-post anchoring Dad's blind down, it was out in the open in a big patch of weeds, and the wind just destroyed it this deer season. I will show some pictures of that too. Every time I walked up on the thing, it was down, and even with it anchored down and with these outriggers anchored down, this thing is so big, it's like a sail, and when the wind gets to blowing it, it just blows these hubs right in. And once it blows a hub in, the whole thing just folds up. But I'm going to go on the inside and show you guys what kind of room's in here, and you can see what just happened here. We had a hub that turned inside out, and it ripped that hole in it. Again, this blind's practically brand new. I used it once. It blew over in a ditch, and I picked it up, and it folded up nicely and was just laying flat in the ditch. So I picked it up, folded it right up, put it in the bag, no problem. But we did use Dad's this year instead of this one. Another issue that I have with them is that when these windows zip down, they zip from one side. So you can half zip this window, and that's what the half zip looks like. It's about 18 inches higher than what you need to shoot out of. These windows here, clip. Again, more of these clips. Every time you do this, there's a chance that it's the last time it'll hold. So with these windows here, you can get them down where you can shoot out of them. And I'll just let Rodney hold this thing. So if you go back, again, you got to really stretch these things and get them on. They're terribly difficult to get them on. That's about what you can do to get half a window out. And if you go any further than that, it just doesn't work out. There's really no reason to ever design a blind that doesn't have dual zip windows so that you can zip up or down in either direction from either side. Visibility from outside in is actually not bad. These window screens are replaceable. So from inside out, we'll talk about that first. The last 15 or 20 minutes of shooting light, which is when you're going to see a deer around here usually, you cannot see out of these screens. These screens are terrible to see out of. In one of the videos that I posted, it's the video where my brother killed the 10-point. You can actually hear him grab, even though we had slits cut in it, he couldn't get he didn't have his rifle scope out of it, so he couldn't see through this screen. So you actually hear him just rip that down, and it's really very difficult to see out of at the last 15-20 minutes of shooting light. As far as outside in, you can see here, if this blind were all put up in the back, you really can't see into it. The screen's pretty good for keeping you hidden, but again, this screen is very difficult to see through at dusk. Here again, this blind is almost 7 feet tall, and Rodney's going to go in and actually, yeah, they do. Rodney's going to go in and actually clip up some of these windows so we can get a good look at what it looks like out of the front here. This is actually the front of the blind. Got too much sunlight going on here. We were in the shade a few minutes ago, but it took us so long to get this thing up.
As far as user friendly, this is not.
No, it's not. And if you think you're going to sneak in somewhere and set this thing up quiet and hunt out of it, you're wrong.
Set this up 2 or 3 days before you want to hunt.
Yeah, this is a go in 2 or 3 days ahead of time and set it up kind of thing. Once you're 20 feet from the blind, you can't really see them in there. And this, if you're taking a buddy hunting or a kid, or you want somebody to film your hunt, this is not a bad blind for that. You just need to go in, at least if you're going to hunt somewhere in the evening, you need to go in around lunchtime and set this thing up. You are not going to sneak into a turkey spot and put this thing up. You are not going to sneak into a deer hunting spot and put this thing up. It's big, it's bulky, it has a little niche, but as far as portability, you can forget it. And it's really better if you got a buddy helping you put it up. It's not a bad blind, it's just not good. Portability on this thing is going to be almost 0 out of a scale of 1 to 10. The ease of use and setting up, or ease of setting up, is going to be a 1. Part of the issue with this blind is that that's as close as you can get the camera to it. And typically when I'm sitting in the little Ameristep multi-season pack-in blind, I can stick that camera right out the front window because it doesn't fall away from the camera like this does. As you can see, they give you lots of room here so that you can get a bow up and shoot out of these windows. But what it boils down to is I like to get this camera right out of the screen and keep it right there so that it doesn't obstruct the view. the last 15 or 20 minutes of shooting light, you can't see through these screens, and that camera struggles to see through them as well. I mean, it really has to have a lot of light to see through that screen. If this wall were falling away from the camera, where I could get the tripod right into this window, I could just cut an area here and stick the big camera right up to it, and it wouldn't be an issue, and I wouldn't have to have this window down. But the way this thing's made, you've got to take the window out if you want to record, and it's a real pain in the butt, because then you've got a whole window here that deer can see right into. So it does a pretty good job of keeping them from seeing in, but last 15-20 minutes shooting light, it does a pretty good job of keeping you from seeing out as well. But this is the Rhino hub blind. There is not a model number for this blind, so I can't really give you a model number for it. I know it's sold by Lincoln Outfitters, so when you buy this blind, if I thought I was buying a different blind, it came in the Lincoln Outfitters box. Lucky me, I actually ordered one for me and one for Dad. Dad's is the one we were actually using to hunt out of this year. I don't really like either one of them, to be honest. It's big, but that's about really all you can say about it. Push stop in.
This hold up pretty easy. Where you gonna go with the next
So the next blind we've got here is the Ameristep Silent Brick House blind. And as you can see, it has one shoulder strap, which means this thing's going to be hard to lug over a long distance. It's fairly heavy. I can tell you, having to pack this thing in very far is really going to be a job with this one strap. This is the case. It sounds like the strap's already breaking. The case is actually pretty heavy duty, but yeah, I'm already pulling the strap out of it. So
the hub blind, and I do like that bag better than the zip-up bag. Oh, that's great. Looks like it's gonna be a small hub too. The blind comes down pretty well. You have shooting holes, multiple locations.
So again, we've got a hub blind here. This is the Ameristep Silent Brick House. And the first thing I noticed as Rodney was putting it up is that they don't put the window screens in it for you. They come in the bag, but you will have to put them in. And these windows, once again, do not have a zipper. They have these stupid loop closures here. So I know a lot of people like that. I just don't like it. This is some really chintzy sort of elastic here that's going to lose elasticity, and then the thing's just going to flop. It is not tall enough to stand up in. And one thing that I really, really, really don't like, they've got a bright logo right here. I'm not crazy about that. You can put that somewhere else. The deer don't care who makes the blind. So it does have a lot of these loops around the top, so you can brush it in, but there are none, zero, anywhere else, just around the top. Which is a big pet peeve. There's not a lot of ways to brush this blind in. This is just an afterthought here. I don't know if you've ever tried to brush in a blind or not, but you need at least 2 rows. And that's one thing none of these blinds have, because when you stick something in here, it tilts, it flops one way or the other, and it lays down. I mean, I guess you could brush it in some, but it's not, it's definitely not the most desirable thing. It needs these strips all around it, except for maybe where the door is. The material though does seem pretty heavy duty, a little heavier duty than some of the other blinds. I will say that. So it may be a little more durable. And it is a hub type, just like a couple of the others, which I'm not fond of. Rodney didn't have much trouble putting it up, but there again, that's the way a lot of them are going. I'm not a fan, but whatever. It adds a lot of weight to a blind, and that's really not I mean, you don't need a hub blind to have a good hunting blind. The other thing is all of these windows are attached the same way with these little puny little elastic straps, and this window is a lot higher. These windows are lower. I'm not sure. I guess maybe that's better for gun. This is better for bow. I mean, I could see that. Again, they don't really have anything where you can half zip. You can just detach some of them and do that, but it doesn't really allow you to do it quickly. I know a lot of you guys like it because you feel like it's quieter, but if you get it the way you think you want it and then a situation pops up where you have to change it quickly, that's not going to be an option on any of these blinds that don't have zippers. So I'm going to get the GoPro and give you a little closer look, and then we're going to go around the inside of it like we did on the other blinds. But it's not bad. And again, these are all budget blinds, so you're not going to find anything perfect. To be honest with you, I don't think you could spend $800 on a blind and get one that was perfect, exactly the way you wanted. But the whole point of this video is to talk about budget blinds and what you get for the money. Some of these, all of these really will probably work fine. Some of them have different features. Some of them have things about them that I like, and they all have things about them, I guess, that I like and I don't like. But again, it's a budget blind, and it can get the job done for you on a budget. So here are the loops for adding brush. Again, this is sort of a little bit heavier material than some of the other ones. I do kind of like that. These windows do go really low. I don't know if you can see my shadow there or not, but that's about knee high. These right here are taller. I guess this is more of a bow slot window, and this is more for gun. So Rodney's going to attempt to put some windows in it and see what we got going on with that. Now, this door is a little better than the others. It has this hard plastic piece in it, so it doesn't just drape, it actually acts more like a door. So we're going to crawl in here and see what's going on. Again, the issue with this coming in through the corner like this, as you can see, especially in a shorter blind like this, it's going to be very difficult for anybody that's over 6 feet tall like me to get in and out of. The big thing is, especially when I'm bundled up and carrying all that stuff, I tend to trip over that piece at the bottom. I would like for this thing to open up completely to the ground so I can get in and out. This door also has closure for the outside, so you can close it when you get out of it, if I can get it to latch. And already I'm having trouble getting in because it's not as wide as my shoulders. But I'm going to shut the door. These little cheap, some Velcro, I guess, to hold that around there. Maybe not. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I guess these just hook to the rod like this. And it's got one here that goes on the inside that hooks right there. This door, you just continue to clip it all the way down around here. And here's one of the problems with these doors. As you can see, there's a huge amount of light coming through here, and which is what you really just don't want with a blind. I guess they tried to make it where you could seal it up, but that was an epic fail. Here, if I pull it in, it's not meant to come in. I guess maybe it would, but no, it isn't meant to come inside. But that probably works better at keeping the light out. Yeah, that's a lot better. That does do a little bit better job at keeping the light out. Yeah, not great. I want to give them a 0 out of 10 for the door. So let's put some windows in it. Is that the window?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It just clips in a strap up top. Not Velcro or anything, it just pops in there. Well, I guess it's quick and easy to pop out without making noise.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I'm not sure that it's going to work that great. Yeah, that's already popping out at the top there. Can you see me in here through the screen?
I am roughly 15 yards. I can see the shiny from the camera, and I can see your face a little bit.
How about if I put this window up, which is going to be difficult to do because of the way they got these stupid connectors here. Yeah, you almost for certain can't do this with one hand. Yeah. And really, man, even this window right here might be just a little bit high for shooting out of. And I guess you would, it does Velcro on the bottom. I guess you could flip that up and stick your gun out. I'd probably just cut a slit in it. So you can't see me in here?
I can't see from back here.
Yeah, see, and the bad thing about the way they attach these windows is that, I mean, you can let the top down and let it flop halfway, but that's all the adjustment you have. And see, this thing right here is, these little elastic things, they're going to pull out and then your window won't stay up. I can go ahead and tell you what's going to happen there. And these two are actually attached to the same one. Not good. Yeah, I can't even get it down with one hand. Yeah, see, if I had a zipper, I'd be open quickly. So, I mean, if it's like, if you're hunting somewhere where it's, you know,
15 degrees and snowing outside and you're trying to keep warm in here a little bit and keep this thing zipped up, you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to have to sit with the windows down because there's no way you could open that quickly, especially if you're sitting in a chair. And really and truly, it says that this is a 3-man blind, but I mean, really 2 people could sit in here, man. This is really just honestly a 1-man blind. You know, people think these are quieter, but when it takes you, you know, 30 minutes to get them down, you're sitting here struggling with it, and it's not really any quieter. But you don't have any adjustment over it. I mean, if you had a zipper, you could come here, or you could just barely keep it cracked, or you could peek out of it and help keep some of the wind out. But with these stupid things here, you just don't have any adjustment. It's either all the way up, halfway down, or all the way down. And I mean, that's it. It's just not, it's not practical. And the way this thing actually attaches here, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of dark for the GoPro, but it slides underneath a strip of nylon, and then it actually velcros at the bottom. So I'm gonna let Rodney get in here and see what he thinks. I'll be honest with you, I bought this thing for half off.
Originally the 120, about 69.
Yeah, I bought it for 69 bucks, and I'm honestly glad I didn't pay any more than that for it. And this hole right here, see if you can get in there, Rodney, before I get out. Yeah, see, he's 5'8". There's no way I can get in and out of there when I'm fully dressed. Take some of the windows down and see what you think. It's really supposed to go on the outside.
Yeah, this works better though, because when you did it this way outside, it took a lot of the light away.
Yeah, so just to show you folks, that's what we're doing. We're actually tucking the door inside, even though it's intended to go outside. As you can see here,
the light completely. I can't even see the light out.
Because when you actually attach it outside, it leaves a big, huge gap, and there's a lot of light coming in, and then it pretty much lights up the whole blind.
Yeah, those little bars, definitely not as quiet as what they're hoping, because you're trying to pull on them, and it's dark in here. It's hard to see which way they're in.
Yeah, my big gripe is the no zippers, because if it's cold, you'd like to be able to just like crack that a little bit, like to that corner.
Yeah. And
this one to that corner to see out of, you know, crack it halfway down like I got. But see, that's all you got right there. I mean, there's the next step is all the way down. With these nets, you know, the way they attach, are they going to keep the mosquitoes out? Because, you know, you're probably going to have to go around it every time you get in it and redo them to make sure they're sealed up, you know.
I don't know if they'll stay in when it folds.
That's why I'm wondering that too. I'm wondering if that's why they didn't put them in there. You know, that's yeah, that screen does a pretty good job of camoing.
I can see you perfectly.
Yeah. Now when you get down there shooting light, it's still going to be an issue. You need to slot or pull it up on the bottom or something, but it's I mean, it does a pretty good job. If you were wearing black or even camo face mask in there, you wouldn't be able to see you in that blind. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I paid, what'd you say I paid for it? $69?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was half off. Would I go out and pay full price for it? Probably not. But when they go on sale for half off, it's a good time to buy a couple of them and see which ones you like the best. Before deer season comes in, maybe if you realize that you really can't live in one, you can sell it to your buddy for 70 bucks. Maybe he can use it, and maybe he likes it just fine. But it's definitely priced at a price point where you can give it a whirl and see how you like it.
It may rate a little higher than 5. I've got to really kind of go back and review the video and just sort of, you know, yeah, look, it spun right around for you.
This one, I'd almost say it's probably my favorite so far.
Yeah, it was really easy to take down, wasn't it?
I left that screen in. We'll see how it does when we open it back up.
Next time we take it out, when we